Hola, boa noite. Carl Mudson here with the Portugal show. You may have seen that subliminal little sharing of a screen there. When Maria raised her bottle to pour some red wine, the sound and the visual was so good. I had to share it for a moment on the screen. And I'll bring her on properly now. Maria, good evening to you, my expat chat guest this evening. How are you?
Good. It's actually white.
Oh, I do beg your pardon. I saw a bottle and assumed it was red like mine. We'll talk more about that, the specifics. And I don't want anyone to let this healthy-looking smoothie belie the fact that I'm also drinking wine tonight. I think that's part of the formula here, where we have a chat with one of our community here from expatsportugal.com to find out where they began their journey, where they've ended up in Portugal, and to answer your questions about life in Portugal. So that's what it's all about. Do keep the questions coming. Do grab a bottle of wine yourself and join us as we have a fireside chat about life in Portugal. What it takes to be here and what it's like once you are here. So on that basis, Maria, I do take it that you're happy living here in Portugal.
Oh my God. No, I'm thrilled. We've been here since July of last year. And, it's every day we wake up and we look outside and we look at olive trees and, we hear birds and it's like, oh, is that a pheasant that just ran by? I was living in New Jersey. We didn't have anything like that. It was like, oh, is that the garbage truck that just rumbled by? That's what we used to listen to in the morning. But no, I love it here. We're here for good.
Yeah, that's quite a contrast then. New Jersey to Tomar, or on the outskirts of Tomar, as I understand it. Can we take you back to where it began then? Because you say New Jersey, but I think you're also originally from Vancouver.
Yes, I'm from Vancouver in Canada, but I went to the States to work in 2002. It was kind of a weird set of circumstances because I ended up getting a job in Toronto, and they wouldn't tell me who the client was. They're like, "Oh no, we can't tell you until you're hired." I'm like, "Okay, it's fine." And so they hired me, and I said, "Well, who's the client?" They said, "The Rolling Stones." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." But I was like, "What did you think? I'm going to be so excited, and I'm going to try to, call up Mick Jagger and have dinner with him just because." So anyways, so that job took me then to New York, and we lived in New York for a while. We lived in Harlem. We lived on the Upper West Side. And then, the economy started having a little bit of a fall. So we ended up looking for a place to buy. And we ended up in New Jersey, just on the other side of the Hudson River. So we were in the States for 18 years. And I think it was kind of 2016 where we started thinking, let's try something else now. We'd been very lucky. We worked hard. We were working for ourselves by that point. We were doing short-term accommodations. We had a number of properties, and we were doing okay. So we started thinking about, where are we going to retire? We don't have kids. We have complete flexibility. We could have gone anywhere. And we started looking at Costa Rica and Panama. And then I thought, oh, Panama, they give a free bus pass to old people. Well, that sounds nice. And then somebody says, well, Portugal's pretty hot right now. And I'm like, Portugal, it's hot. I was born in Portugal. My parents escaped Portugal as fast as they could when I was 2 years old. And so when I told my mom, my dad had passed away, we were thinking of going to Portugal. My mom was like, are you out of your mind? Like, why are you going to Portugal? Salazar is dead, but he's still around, So my mom just couldn't believe it.
Wow.
That we would choose to move to a country that she escaped from. So, she never saw any of the growth of Portugal. She only saw the poverty and the misery and, not having enough to feed her kids, and how fast could she get away. But she doesn't know that, people wear mini skirts and everybody has a cell phone. She still thinks it's 1962.
That's why I came here, the chance to wear a mini skirt and have my own cell phone.
Really?
But that's amazing, Maria. I mean, obviously, the Costa, is that the giveaway that you have Portuguese roots? Okay, but the idea that that firmly held idea that your mother had there, and that those being your origins of emigres from Portugal, and there you are completing the circle by coming back with a suggestion from somebody. Maybe you should look at Portugal. So, has your mum changed her mind at all since you've been here?
I guess a little bit, because now, I'll report back and say, oh, today we made, jam. And, oh, yesterday we were collecting the kiwis. And she's like, oh, that, because she likes to tell her friends, she likes to tell her friends about our life, but I don't know. It did take her a good year before she thought, oh, you guys are crazy. And she also thought, I thought the point was to retire, because then we come here, we buy this big old house, and it's nothing but a hammer and a chisel all day. Who am I kidding? We're not doing it. Somebody else has the hammer and the chisel, but we're overseeing it.
Yes, but not entirely relaxing and restful.
It is relaxing and restful, no matter what. It is still, because we're doing exactly what we want every day.
Oh, superb. Okay, so I'm going to take that as a yes. You're very happy in Portugal,
Yes.
and you recommend it. We'll dive a bit deeper into that. There we go. There's another reason. What is it you're drinking there tonight? Before we say hello to a few people,
this is the Jardim Secreto,
okay.
and my wine buying. The purpose of buying any wine for me is to try a new wine and what's on sale at the Continent. I think I told you this already when I was telling you what I was going to drink, because this was $12.99, but it was on sale for $3.99. I'm like, well, that's a good deal. So I bought, a case, and it's delicious.
Good. And what is that? A slightly fizzy white, or
no? It's a Vinho Verde, Alvarinho Vinho Verde.
Alvarinho, perfect. That's
so up from the Monstau, and premium, says so on the label.
That's a bargain. I must tell the wine club ninjas about that. Alvarinho is always worth a look. Very refreshing drink.
Yes.
Yeah, very nice. Okay, so we've got Ken in tonight. Ken was telling us last night that he's accompanying his mother over. He's his mum's carer, Jeanette, if I remember correctly. So hello to you both. And when the talk of miniskirts, he's also sold on Portugal now. Lauren in North Carolina. Hola, boa noite from Andrew and Lauren. Hello, you two. Where are you located, Maria? We'll get into that in just a moment. Eric J from Charlotte. Hola, boa noite a todos. 24 degrees centigrade and stormy in Charlotte. We'll also talk about the weather in Tomar tonight, I think. And hello from Maria Jose Fernandez. Good evening to you, Maria. Lovely to have your company. And of course, this question, which may take a while to answer, I'm guessing tonight. What's your favorite part about living in Portugal, Maria? So let's go back to that first question from Lauren. We mentioned you on the outskirts of Tomar. Can you fill us in a little bit more about that, your location, and why you ended up there, Maria?
It's so totally random. I was here with my mom to see her sister, I don't know, 35 years ago. And I remember being in Tomar at the castle and thinking, oh, this is a nice town. Never thought about it again. Off we go back to Canada. Didn't give it a second thought. Then in 2000, we came on our honeymoon. I've always had like a real affinity for Portugal. Like I've always wanted to come every chance that I could. So then in 2000, we came for our honeymoon. I said, well, let's go to Tomar. So we spent a couple of days here, and I discovered, a pile of cousins that I didn't even know existed. And I thought, oh, that's nice. Look at all these new faces that look just like me. And so when we started looking at Portugal, I knew that Lisbon wasn't for me, because we'd lived in Manhattan for 5 years. I'd had it with people nonstop and sirens. I wanted something a little quieter. And it was important for us that we had some place that had, some sort of cultural activity, because my husband sings opera and he's very involved in doing, performances and stuff. And we like to go and see music as often as we can, see anything live. We love anything live. And so it couldn't be too sleepy of a town. It really needed to be something a little bit a step up, although some would argue that Tomar is pretty sleepy. It still is, it has a very lively cultural and arts life, COVID excluded.
Yes.
So when we started thinking about Portugal, I thought, well, Porto is just too far north for me, although I love it. And I thought, well, let's just go smack in the middle. Beaches, I love the beaches, but having a place on the beach to me just didn't seem that great. I wasn't going to be at the beach every day. And I thought, oh, Tomar, that place is so nice. It's so easy to get to. It's connected to everything, so we ended up coming in 2017 is when we were really starting to get serious. 2017, we came and we said, okay, we're only going for holidays, 2 weeks. We're not looking at properties except for one afternoon, because we're not spending our holiday looking at properties. And the first thing we did is look at properties for like 10 and 14 days, and ended up buying practically the first property that we stepped foot into.
Oh, wow. Incredible,
Yeah.
incredible. Let's show people where we are on the map here. Then going to good old Wikipedia.
Oh yeah,
Good
and you're right. I mean, we're in the district of Tomar, but we are 7 kilometers north in a very small village called Casais, which always gets confused with Cascais near Lisbon, but it's not. It's Casais, and it's Casais e Alveobeira. I think I'm pronouncing that right, which is, it's a tiny little village, but there's 2 roads into Tomar, and I mean, I go to Tomar every day. It's not, I'll go for a coffee and come back and then go later and, get some something from the store and come back. It's not an arduous trip at all. It's a beautiful little drive. And, my husband goes to his Portuguese lesson every day in town. And yeah.
Wow, what a guy.
Yeah.
I put this map up just to give people an idea of where Tomar is. So
honestly, it looks dead center in that map.
Yeah, perfect. And then the town, as we saw there, that's the beautiful. I mean, it's the first place where my family ended up actually when we came over. We were doing a house sit again, about 7 kilometers out of less than 10 kilometers out of town. But
maybe it was this house. Maybe you were house sitting in this house where I live now.
No, I've heard about your legendary house. I don't think it's that one, but it was it was a real adventure where we ended up first time. And you're right, you absolutely find yourself gravitating towards Tomar, don't you? Because it has its charm and easygoingness about it. It's a beautiful place, and the square, the lanes, the facilities, railway station, really, really good. Love Tomar, and I know that Mrs. M would gladly move to Tomar. If we look at the stats there, the town proper has a population of 20,000. The municipality population in 2011 was 40,677 in an area of 351 square kilometers. And it's a notable, I suppose, tourist attraction is the Convento de Cristo, which is amazing.
Yes.
There is the Knights Templar connection, as well, which is very rich.
Very serious Knights Templar connection here. People are very serious about that and that affiliation. But you are leaving out the most important sightseeing destination in Tomar to me, which is the Matchbox Museum.
Oh, really?
And I'm not even joking. The Matchbox Museum is so interesting. It's right near the train station, and it's also near, there's a handmade ceramics place there as well. And, it's free. It's the way that they've done it is so interesting. You walk. Have you ever been, Carl, to the Matchbox Museum?
I'm ashamed to say, I'm embarrassed that I don't even know what you're referring to, and I think I know Tomar well.
No, when you're at the train station and you're facing the courtyard, the courthouse.
Yes.
If you're coming out of the train station.
Yeah.
And the courthouse is in front of you, where it used to be the parking lot. Now it's being turned into this gorgeous plaza. The Matchbox Museum is on the left side of that. So it's right, it's like 100 meters from the train station. And they have all of the matchboxes arranged in country order, except Portugal is out of order because Portugal's at the very end. Portugal's the grand finale. So once you've seen Japan, you've seen Finland, all of the Finnish matchboxes, then you get to the grand finale, which is the Portuguese ones. And I mean, some of them are really crazy. Of course, the Austrian ones, there's some historical Austrian ones that are, it's history. And then there's lots of, the Japanese ones are really, really beautiful. Israeli matchbox. I mean, it's great. I'll go there. Okay, maybe I don't go all the time, but maybe every 2 months I'll go there. I'll spend an hour there, just looking, poking.
That's a very smart tourist attraction, because obviously tourists will go to look at their country of origin and see what the matchboxes are in their own country. Have a look at the others, and then obviously have the finale there of the Portugal matchbox. Who knew you could make a matchbox museum and that there was one in Tomar? Thank you for that. I will forever remember that now. Next time I go there, I think I'll be taking the kids to see that, because matchboxes in their own right are a historical item now, aren't they? I mean, we don't tend to use matches anymore and haven't done for some time. So it's quite an eye opener, I think, for kids to learn that we carry sticks of fire around in our pockets. How crazy was that?
Well, I mean, it's so funny that they still do sell a lot of matches. I mean, you can go to the Lidl and you can get, a package of like 10 matchboxes, and
That's
people
true.
still, yeah, people are still buying them because there's so much, wood burning here, arsonists. I don't know which it is, but there is lots of matchboxes
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah,
But it's such a sweet thing about, maybe it's Portugal, maybe it's Europe. I don't know. This is the first time I've lived in Europe, is the collection of these funny, odd little things.
yes.
In 2018, when we were here, we went to a collector's market, which just was pure coincidence that it was this collector's market on a day that we were down there. And we went in and we're like, what is happening here? The oddest collections you've ever seen. I didn't know that people in Portugal collect sugar packets. And
Yeah,
I'm dying inside. I'm like, they've got them in there, it's like baseball cards. They've got them in this special photo albums and that. And then I'm laughing about it. And I'm telling my cousin who lives in Portugal, I said, oh my God, these people are so crazy. These people, like so many of them were collecting sugar packets. She goes, I collect them. I'm like,
oh,
you do not.
whoops.
It's normal thing.
Yeah, I
It's
do as
totally
well.
normal to collect sugar packages.
I collect them from an environmental point of view, because when I get, like wherever you go, it seems in Portugal, and you order a coffee, you get your 2 sachets, don't you? Whether you take
Yeah.
sugar or not, whether you use a half, which is what I do, I'm left with a 1.5 sachets of sugar. And I'm thinking, especially at the moment with the pandemic, they don't want these
Yeah,
back
we're just going to talk.
after up in the
Yeah.
morning. They're just going to go straight in the bin. So I often end up with sugar in my pockets. And often, after a while, if I've been out in the rain, loose sugar in my pockets because the packets got soggy, and I put my hand in my pocket, and there you go, granules of sugar everywhere. But yeah, funny thing, collecting sugar sachets, amazing.
And then the next day you end up with ants in your pocket. Now you're collecting ants.
Kind of almost like ants in your pants because of all the sugar that you're collecting with your worthy environmental intentions. Wow, there you go. There's a little insight into life in Portugal, everybody, that you might not have been expecting this evening. A few more comments coming in. Well,
It's a hit a minute.
we'll come back to your question, Lauren, in a minute. What's your favorite part about living in Portugal? I need to find out more about your opera singing husband, of course, as well, because that's fascinating. Bon dia from Safaro. Good evening to you. You're a very disciplined attender of the Good Morning Portugal show and the Portugal show in the evening. So thank you very much, Safaro, for your attendance. My wife and I are very interested in Tomar. So you should be, Charles. Our friend Charles in North Carolina as well. A la bonne nuit from Steve Merwin. Enjoying Maria's Portugal story. This is an expat chat, in case you've just joined us, where we talk to somebody who lives here, their story of how they got to be here, what they love about being in the place that they're in, and of course your questions to them. Ace, I'm going to go with on your name, Ace Rexius. Too hot the summers for me. Always a key consideration. Climate in Portugal and Tomar. Yes, 40 plus summers in Tomar. So that's not for the faint-hearted. I think Penella is the town near one of the properties my mum likes to look of. I really love the town when I Googled it. I'm a big history buff, and I love how you can find history everywhere you look in Portugal. You so can. And people are very understated about the history here. In my native UK, anything historical tends to have a fence put around it, and you're charged to look at it, and you are also not allowed to touch anything. In Portugal, kids are riding their skateboards on history, dogs are pooing on the piazza. People are very much more relaxed and easygoing about it, and it's fantastic. I much prefer it. Maria Jose Fernandez, Tomar, a lovely town. That's simply put and absolutely true. Cheryl, meaning I must visit, sounds lovely. Matchbox Museum sounds intriguing. I think that's captured a few imaginations. Charles, what towns around Tomar are best for apartment rental? So some nitty gritty there. Ken, matchboxes. Wow. And Cheryl, the museum there. Wayne B, it's now on my list of to-dos. And we have a standing joke here. Good Morning Portugal and the Portugal Show. You need planning permission on your list of to-dos in Portugal every day. I come across something else I want to add to my list of things I want to do in Portugal. It's bizarre. It's not a massive country, population of 10 million or thereabouts, and every day there's a new experience I want to add to the list of to-dos here. It's incredible. Do you find that, Maria?
Yes, absolutely. I don't think in all my years of driving, as I've put as much mileage on my car as I have living in Portugal.
What
it's
do you
just
think? Well, you think I've got to go there.
I'm sorry?
You just think to yourself, I've got to go there. Then I've got to go there. I've got to have a quick look.
Yeah, it's like, oh, there's a mushroom walk in Castanheira de Pera. Oh, that's only 60 kilometers away. Let's go. And then, oh, there's this other thing. I mean, there's something going on all the time.
Were you on that this weekend? On that
No,
mushroom?
I was thinking of trying to. I went last year. It's phenomenal. It's
Is it?
absolutely phenomenal. And I think I'm going to try and go on the 18th.
Fantastic. And that's Zay Paish, isn't it? The man leading that.
Yes.
So he's a bit of a legend, is he?
Yes, he's him and his wife are both. She speaks perfect English. He is like he's Buddha. He's very Buddha-ish. He's very calm. He's very, everything he tells you is so informative. He says it in such a way that you absorb it all. And then if you bring him a poison mushroom, he'll say, "Not this one."
Beautiful.
Not this one. Very calmly. And what the nice thing he told me was that there aren't any mushrooms in Portugal that will kill you. There are mushrooms that'll make you sick, but there is no poison mushrooms that you'll eat it and you'll just like foam at the mouth and die. So you've got a chance. There's nothing, all of them will give you a fighting chance to survive, which is important.
That's really good to know. Thank you. And clearly, he's a fun guy. We could not leave a conversation about him without saying that. I'm sorry. Xander in Texas. Hi, hello to you, Xander. Good evening to you. Hope you're well. Mark Hay. I think, yes, there we go. The Museu dos Fosforos.
There you go.
Matchsticks. Thank you, Mark, for that. The actual link in the comments. How very thoughtful of you. Fiona Baker saying, love Portugal. My daughter did a PhD in Lisbon and we had many a holiday visiting her. Would love to live there. Come on, Fiona, do it. I better grab some sugar packets from the UK before I head over. Yes, you can start trading with other sugar sachet collectors, Ken. It could produce currency. When you open your case at the airport and there are sugar sachets in there, you'll get a nod and a wink and waved through, maybe. Who knows? Taurine, Ray's, thanks for the info. I'm trying to decide where to move to in Portugal. After many years living in big cities, Boston and Amsterdam, I'm ready for a less busy location. Also, I worked for the Boston Symphony for over 16 years and the Museum of Fine Arts at Boston for over 10. So cultural offerings are important to me. I'm sure you'll be able to respond to that, Maria. Oh, you guys are funny. Thank you, Cheryl. From Andrew in Australia. Hola, boa noite, todos de Australia. Good evening to you. Lovely to hear from you, Andrew. Safaro, I can recommend 3 military museums for those interested in the Military Museum of Porto. Has a good collection of lead soldiers and history regarding the military. Always happy for a recommendation. Sounds fascinating, Safaro. The Museum Militar de Elvas, where you can view tanks and military planes from Portuguese history, and the Museu Militar da Marinha, located to the Jerónimos Monastery. Sounds like a good day out, doesn't it, with the monastery as well there. Thank you, Safaro, for that. Do you agree with all the Portuguese drivers' nightmare stories? We will come back to that. No, okay. I've lost my place with that one. On a tiny island in Maine, there is an umbrella cover museum. That is random, Lisa. Not just an umbrella museum, but an umbrella cover museum. Yes, the sleeve that umbrellas go in. And if you're lucky, the lady will serenade you with an accordion. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but a note from Brazil, from Eduardo Santos. What a lovely international crowd tonight. I've been following the recordings on YouTube in the past weeks, and today I've made it to the live stream. Hopefully I'll be moving to Portugal in January. So good to hear from you, Eduardo. Let us know how we can help you. Of course, I forgot to say that Maria is part of our Ask Our Expats team. We'll tell you more about that. So Maria and I, both in the expatsportugal.com Ask Our Expats team, where we will do calls with you, teleconference calls. We'll go out and film stuff for you. We are your ears and eyes on the ground here for you, should you need those services. And I'll share that link with you in a moment as well. Mari, Allah from Los Angeles. Mari is my absolute favorite town. When we visited a few summers ago, we were students giving there were students giving free walkabout tours at the convent. Highlight of our trip. How lovely. What a lovely memory. And Ken, I don't have a driving license yet. Something I never got around to. Oh, okay. You can learn in Portuguese. That will give you 2 birds with 1 stone, I think. Learn the language and how to drive here. Let's deal with that very quickly then. What do you think about Portuguese driving, Maria?
Well, I'm a terrible driver, so and I have a smart car that is a 2000 smart car, so I don't go out on the highway. Usually my husband drives when we're going somewhere farther. But I find the drivers here very courteous. I mean, they're fast, they're aggressive. There's no doubt about that. But I find the driving I'm coming from New York and New Jersey, where if you don't jump off the green light, they're behind you hitting the horn. So I don't find any of that at all. Every once in a while, if you forget to turn signal, somebody will go, pishka, 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 pishka. Like, you've got your turn signal. It's like, all right, fair enough. I forgot it. But no, I don't find, I've driven to Lisbon a couple of times in, our other bigger car, and at 160 kilometers an hour, I feel sick to my stomach going that fast, but I do it, and I just zoom down the street with everybody else. And it seems like everybody here is a controlled aggressive, if that makes sense.
I get it.
They're not aggressive for the sake of aggressive. They're aggressive with a destination in mind, and they're weaving in and out. But I don't think I've seen an accident on the road. I'm sure there has been, but I haven't. In living here, going on 16 months, I haven't seen a single pileup or accident. That's just, I'm just thinking about it now. I don't think I've seen one.
You make a very good point there. It's controlled aggression, and it's contextual. It is definitely a Portuguese thing. Portuguese people to go into stereotypes here, I think are sort of very measured, respectful, peaceful kind of people. And then something happens when they get behind a steering wheel, and it's a different atmosphere, and an intention suddenly kicks in. But when they're out of the car, it's all over. And I know in the UK where I'm from, there's like road rage and people getting really resentful, and it builds up and it builds up and it boils over. In Portugal, people will shout at you. I know, I've been shouted at on my bicycle by people, and I've learned not to take it seriously because it's over. It's expressed and it's over and it's done. Probably a bit like New York in some ways, I guess. It's said and done, and it's not personal even. It's just like it's part of the system here of like letting off steam. You don't need to take it personally. And I think the best way to look at it is it's different, isn't it? It's not worse, it's different.
One of the things that there's quite a few people from North America is I don't drive standard. I don't know how to drive stick, and I'm 55. I'm not getting into it. Everybody's like, oh, you'll learn. It's easy. It's like, forget it. Going uphill, reversing backwards, downhill, not for me. It's not going to happen. But there's there's automatic options. So it's not, that's one of the things that I was worried about, thinking, oh, I'll never get an automatic car. I'm going to be stuck depending on my husband to drive me everywhere. But that's not true at all.
All right. So before we go into some more of these deeper dive questions, husband, opera singer, amazing. Was your husband connected with the wonderful concert that was put on at Semsoldash a little while ago? An American singer who came over and did a concert at Semsoldash, not far from Tomar.
Well, that's very funny that you say that, because it wasn't actually a concert. I don't know. It could be somebody else, but just coincident at the taverna there, that cool taverna.
Yes.
Well, we were there with friends of ours who is part of the Tuna Templarios of Tomar, and he's also a singer, Jose Rosado. And he invited us to listen to some of the new music that he was performing with his friend. And they've been over at our house. And so I had never been to that place. I'm like, this is the coolest place. And they're like, oh yeah, there's a music festival here. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
There's like a Lollapalooza here, 10 kilometers away. So we were there, and Jose knows that Jay sings opera. So he was playing away his beautiful song with this other guy, Abilio, the older guy, Abilio, who is hilarious. And Jose said, why don't you sing something? And he's like, oh, no. It's like you can't really turn it on. You kind of got to warm up and everything. You can't really turn it on. But Jay's been singing long enough that he can actually turn it on. So, but he was shy, and he's like, oh, no. And he's like, no, we're here to see. And then after a while, Jose and his friend are singing, and I could hear Jay under his breath going, trying to catch, he's listening, but to the music, he's not really. He's looking towards the performers that are there, but in his mind, he's already putting the song together. And so then when they broke, he's like, oh, okay, if you want me to sing.
Oh, brilliant. And
it was so funny because the people downstairs, the doors are open, it was like a Saturday night, I think, or something. And the people downstairs, I could just hear all of a sudden, it was so noisy. And all of a sudden I could just hear everything just go dead silent.
Fantastic.
So, yeah, he has a powerful voice. He's a tenor. He did he hasn't really sung a lot lately, certainly not in Portugal. He hasn't, because he's been working on other things, but he sang with Phantom of the Opera for a couple of years in Toronto. Then we went to Asia together where he sang there. He did a bunch of performances in Manhattan, in Toronto, but his start was in Vancouver and in Toronto. And he's trying to put together something for Christmas. Of course, the issue is COVID, and how far does his spit go? So that's a practical concern. So he did something last year in Tramagal, just coincidentally with friends that we met this couple, and somehow or other it got to music. And it turns out that this woman that we met is a music teacher in a branch, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, somewhere out there. And when he said, oh, I sing, and if you ever want to do something. And she said, well, come and do the Christmas concert with us. And it was so beautiful. It was this tiny little church. And it was so funny because a lot of people had gone to see the show. It was a lot of people, it was a choir, and he was doing some solos. And a lot of people had gone to see the show, but the people who were attending the mass at the church wouldn't leave. So we're all like, yeah, get out.
Better go. Yeah.
Let us sit down. And it was, it was beautiful just being in this, I don't know, the church is probably 600 years old, So there's something quite special about singing here for him. And he's looking forward to doing more shows here. He's definitely very keen on that.
Oh, please let us know on the show so we can tell everybody about that. Sounds wonderful. And Saint Salvador is a great little town, isn't it?
I mean, honestly, I've never been there before. I was like, this is the cool, and that bar is the best.
Yeah,
that's the coolest bar.
I can imagine it will be the most amazing sort of bohemian scene when they have this.
That's exactly. He said, this is La Boheme. As soon as we walked in, he said, this is La Boheme right here. That little bar looked to him exactly like La Boheme.
Well, we can take this into Charles's question here. What towns around Tomar are best for apartment rentals? I don't know what you think about this, Maria, but actually it's probably best to start in Tomar, isn't it, for apartment? Because as you go out more rural, there aren't really apartments, are there?
Well, the funny thing is I was driving through, is it Junqueira or Juncera? I never know.
Yeah, Juncera. That's where we ended up when we first got there. Yeah.
And I saw it, I'm like, oh, this is kind of a small town, but yet there's this kind of big apartment block. But yeah, Tomar is definitely the place to be if you want a traditional apartment and an elevator to go up, because there's so much space around here that houses are definitely more popular. There's lots of houses to rent too, but if you want that kind of convenience of I wouldn't say concierge service, because that's one thing that I haven't actually seen in Tomar. I don't think I've seen a doorman building. I don't think I've seen any apartment building that's staffed, although there might be. That kind of take your packages, hold open the door,
Yeah. No, I'm not aware of that. I'm not aware of that.
I don't think, maybe in Lisbon, but.
Yeah. I mean, I think Charles, start in Tomar, definitely. And I'm not sure what's behind your question, because the assumption can be, of course, that apartment living will be better value, but that isn't necessarily the case in Portugal. In some ways, an apartment life in a city can be quite expensive compared to renting a whole house on the edge of town, or in they're not exactly suburbs here, are they? I mean, it's lots of countrified villages on the road out in every direction, on the radials out of a town. That's how I remember Tomar, and you know it better than Maria. But I think our advice to Charles there is to start in Tomar itself for apartments. But let us know what's behind your question. Is it about cost? Is it about convenience? Is it about not having to have a garden when in fact you might, or a car,
or not having to have a car?
Absolutely. Okay. So Lauren's question: what is your favorite part, Maria, about living in Portugal? This might be a multi-parter, I think.
I mean, there are lots of things, but I think my favorite part about living in Portugal is just constantly being surrounded by the beauty, the greenery. I grew up in Vancouver, so I was always very close to trees and leaves and changing colors in the ocean. And here I'm not close to the ocean, but we have a really lovely spot where I look out every day. I look at my olive trees, and there's always something growing. There's always something to go and pick. So I think that's my favorite part. Every night that we sit down for dinner, we're like, is there anything that our hands produced on the dinner table? And it's a very sad day when the answer is no. There's lots of days where it's no, but it's very sad because there's something. There's olive oil, there's our walnuts, there's our hazelnuts, there's jam from our summer fruits. And that's pretty special. That really is the thing that I think I love the most. Yes. Is having the time to do those things, where in the United States, okay, I could go out and buy 2 bushels of tomatoes, but they'd be rotten by the time I got around to doing anything with them. And here, you just have a bit more time. You can kind of try out recipes. I mean, I've burnt 2 batches of orange marmalade in a row because it's like, oh, look at what's happening outside, and then come back and there's flames on the stove. So I would never attempt it again in the United States. I'd be like, oh, I can't do this. But here, you can screw up 1 or 2 times. You've got lots more time, and you've got lots more oranges, or you've got lots more tomatoes. So it's easy to make mistakes here too, and to get past those mistakes.
Oh, lovely. And also, you might have given the game away there. If you're getting a Christmas present from Maria that is smoky marmalade this year, that's what happened. Love Kashgaish. That was where your village gets confused with. Is Kazais yours, isn't it, rather than Kashgaish? Yeah. The Pencil Museum in Keswick, UK takes some beating, obviously, but looking for interesting points of interest here in PT. Yes, we're adding to the list all the time. Andrew, a friend in Portugal some time ago showed me via video call of a rope works on the waterside where they made the marine rope and rigging. I found that interesting, seeing all the old hand-operated machinery. Yeah, lots of that here, Andrew. Lots of antiquity and history, absolutely. Wherever you go, really. I came over from the UK. Hi, Louise. Great to hear from you. I came over from the UK a few days ago. I'm currently looking at Coimbra and Tomar. Excellent. And we will be helping you with that. No worries there. Lol, I throw that same hand gesture when someone neglects their right. I'll fit right in. What does she need to say? Pishka, pishka.
Pishka, pishka.
Pishka, pishka. Okay, Xander, practice that at home. I thought driving around Lisbon motorways very scary, but yes, controlled aggression, absolutely in agreement there. Does anyone know about low CC motorcycle license? In the UK, you can get to ride a 125. Just wondering if there's anything like that there.
Yes.
You can get a car, can't you, that's like a motorbike here? Tell us more, Maria.
Well, I don't know the exact number, but somebody recently told me that that's the reason you see so many people on these little putt-putt bikes. Yep. Because they don't need a driver's license. They're basically like a faster wheelchair or something. You don't need a driver's license up to a certain size. And, you have lots of, older men who are, maybe they couldn't, I'm talking in their 80s, who are driving these little things and beating around town. So there's definitely is worth finding out about, because I think it is very, very likely you can be mobile without having a driver's license up to, a certain size motor vehicle.
Agreed. And I think there's even like a small car that I see in rural areas that obviously has some almost like a motorbike engine in it. It's a 2-seater, and they're really expensive, but I think it's another workaround for people who don't have licenses. But a very big. Or
they probably put some fenders on a farm vehicle or something.
Yeah, you see that as well, don't you? You see a gentleman taking his wife out for a ride in the front bucket of a tractor as well, if she's been sometimes as well. Fiona Baker, romance is not dead in Portugal. I need to rent somewhere first. And with heating in the winter, we have heating here, Fiona.
Yes,
it does get cold, but we do have heating. Let us know more, Fiona, and that's how we can help. Maria, you seem to make a lot of friends. How are you doing that? Can you speak Portuguese?
That's a very good question. I grew up speaking some Portuguese because my family came from Portugal, but I'm from the Azores, which might as well be. I mean, if you're Canadian, you might get the joke, that's everybody from New Brunswick is like Azores is the New Brunswick of Portugal. So the people from the mainland, the Azorians are like the dummies or the, can't screw a light bulb in. So when I got here, I thought my Portuguese was like, oh, I can speak a little bit. And people are just like, oh, we'll just speak in English. I'm like, no, I'd like to learn, please. And they tag me right away, which is one of the reasons my husband is taking Portuguese lessons. One of the reasons, there's many of them. He's taking Portuguese lessons, and he'll ask me, how do I say this? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to tell him, because then he gets my accent. And people tag me right away. They're like, where are you from? I said, Canada. No, where in Portugal are you from? I said, Tomar. No, where are you really from?
Where are you really from?
The Azores. But I do have an understanding. The friend issue is the trickiest part.
Yeah.
And I'm just the kind of person who gets involved. I like being involved. I like joining things. I like groups. I like, I'm not scared to go up to people and start talking to them. But that is the trickiest part, which is why so many people do kind of continue in an expat community, because you need that solidarity. You can't live without some solidarity. You need to I need to have that anyways. And so the friend thing takes a while. I'm starting now to feel like I've got some Portuguese people who we're very friendly with. And the people are very warm. They're friendly, but there's a different society here too. Like, I'm used to having people over for dinner, going over to somebody else's house for dinner. And that seems to be not such a thing here. People will, they'll go to restaurants together, but maybe just nobody's invited me to their house. Maybe just no Portuguese people like me enough to invite me to their house. But that to me was a very normal way of socializing, which I think it's kind of a way of socializing here. In your house is really private for you and your family.
Yeah.
That's how I think it is. Do you
I
agree?
think you're right. I agree entirely. And that's something to get used to, isn't it? Because dinner party culture, if you come from that, you just to say to people, oh, you should come over. And I've seen people kind of recoil a little bit, because that goes against maybe that means something else here. I don't know, but people,
it's a tea party.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what did I say? Why is that person so upset about that? But yes, home is very private in Portugal, and it's quite an honor and a privilege if you do get invited into somebody's home. And because of the climate, because of the setup here, people entertain outdoors, I think, and restaurant cafe culture, picnic areas are all huge, because I think people live in quite a modest and small way at home, and that's changing. But I think home is private, home is modest, and it's more about meeting out of doors. And because probably so many people meet in Portuguese gatherings that it's not practical to meet at people's houses. You need to get out in a Parque de Merendas or in the extra room of the restaurant. These are big families here, so I think that's a really good point you make there, Maria. And arrange to meet with people outdoors and enjoy cafe culture and restaurant culture, I guess, would be our tip there. Here's Maria's listing in our new feature. Let me just share this with you on the screen. This is something new at Expats Portugal. Maria and I are part of this team, and this is what you can do. We see ourselves, the Ask Our Expats team, as a friendly team of people, hand selected, that's you and me, Maria, to help you find your dream lifestyle in Portugal. And you can engage with this team who've proved themselves as something of from first-hand experience, something of an authority on life in Portugal. And if we don't know about something, we will find out for you. And you can book people as you can there with Maria. In that particular instance, there's me with the hat that my wife doesn't like me to wear, and others here. And we cover different parts of Portugal, different lifestyle and interest, some with family, some with not, some working, some not, some retired. So you're going to get a different view from different people and different views in different parts of the country. So that's what we are doing. And there's Maria's link if you want to engage with Maria in that way. And obviously, you won't be invited to a dinner party. You will have lunch or dinner at a cafe or restaurant in the traditional style when you finally meet. So, Carol, yes, is it easy to make friends in Portugal? Or no, it is easy. Carol is agreeing entirely there. It is easy to make friends in Portugal. Arriving back in Portugal Sunday, and to my new house in Tomar. Congratulations to you, Carol. That's great news. Maria C on YouTube saying hello from New Jersey, USA. So there you go.
Where in New Jersey? How exciting.
Maria, where? Tell us where. There's a lovely lady at one of our favorite local cafe. There's a fantastic waitress in there who has come back to Portugal from New Jersey. She has a wonderful New Jersey accent, and it's really helpful to us that she speaks English, but she's a beautiful New Jersey Portugal hybrid, and it's a lovely local cafe, really wonderful. Loads of questions here for you. How are the restaurants and cafes in Tomar? Is there any diversity in the types of cuisine? While you're answering that, Maria, I'm just going to go and shut the door of the studio. You can hear Portuguese family life behind me with children shouting and screaming. I'll leave you to do that for a moment, if I may.
Yeah. So there's actually obviously the majority of the restaurants around here are the traditional Portuguese. We have a couple of Chinese restaurants. There's a Japanese restaurant. There's kebabs that I haven't even tried yet. I think there's 2 kebab places now, and we've got a pretty fancy new restaurant. It's a French restaurant, Chez Gilbert, and this Belgian. I think he's a Michelin-starred chef. I think that's his background. Anyways, his food is incredible. So that's a very special birthday and anniversary place to go. The surprising thing for me is how reasonable the restaurants are. I mean, a nice restaurant. We went out the other day for Jay's birthday with another couple. We were at a nice restaurant, cloth napkins and the whole thing, 3 changes of silverware, wine, appetizers, dinner, dessert. And I think that the bill came to $190 for 4 people for that kind of a dinner, which we would have paid $500 for and thought, oh, that was okay. That was value, at home. So, and that's the high end, that for us is absolutely the high end, because normally we'll go for barbecue chicken and French fries and salad and a liter of wine, and it's 17 euros. So, but definitely if that kind of thing is important to you, having lots and lots of variety. Lisbon definitely has much more. Like here, it is pretty much Portuguese with a smattering of others. There's a new Indian restaurant that's not far away, Taj Mahal. And there's a Filipino cafe that opened up, which was exciting. I think that they might be closed now because of COVID, but they were open, and the food was very good there. And there's, diversity is coming in. There's a French bakery now, which is very different from a Portuguese bakery. So, but Tomar is a little bit of a small town. Like we were in Coimbra today, which is right up your neck of the woods, Carl. Yeah. And I saw lots more offerings in terms of different cuisines. But I think that for us, my husband and I, we're very happy with what's offered, because we cook a lot. We both love to cook. We cook a lot at home, and we're going out every weekend somewhere. We're going to another town, or going up north, or going to Lisbon is like an hour and a half if you're kind of going slow, and go and spend the night in Lisbon. So we get our fill of every kind of food that we want.
Yes. Yeah, I think for North Americans, there isn't the breadth of cuisine in Portugal. I think it's more a matter of depth rather than width, actually, if I could put it like that. But you're absolutely right. Driving in 90 minutes to get to the capital, you're going to get access to a lot more. And that's nothing to a North American, is it? Driving 90 minutes. So this is a small country by North American standards. So you will get the diversity if you travel. And then there's the depth of Portuguese cuisine as well, which you can go into. And the restaurants and cafes around Tomar, you can go and eat really well, can't you, for under 10 euros and have a really nice, fresh, home-cooked sort of meal, that kind of vibe in Tomar. Louise says, looking at properties, I'm finding apartments expensive. Yeah, and you're probably looking at listings, which tends to be the higher end with probably consultants or agency fees on top. Louise, we need to talk, and we will can definitely help you with that, and sort of go a bit deeper into what your requirements are. It is different, you know, our understanding of flats, apartments, and so on from the UK certainly, and how it is in Portugal. And I think word of mouth really counts for a lot in Portugal. This is one for you, definitely, Mari. It says, Mari asks of you, Maria, how easy, difficult is it to work with the Tomar municipality if I want to renovate a ruin or add on to an existing property? Perfect question for you, I think.
Well, it's kind of funny because we've recently had an experience, not necessarily with a ruin, but we bought a property that needed some work done in the historic zone, which is very much more controlled. And we called and made an appointment. We spoke to, I think she's the chief engineer. She gave us an hour. She turned off her phone as we sat down, turned off her phone, put it down, full attention on us. How can I help you? Walked us through all kinds of different scenarios, told us what we could expect, told us what we should do. We had a good crew that had been through the experience already. So in Tomar specifically, I find them very helpful. And it's easier if you have somebody that has a little bit of Portuguese, but almost everybody there speaks English, at least to a point where you can pretty well make yourself understood. If you're going to be talking about something technical, then that's when you might, you know, have somebody, an advocate there. But for the most part, they want people to come. They want people to buy property. They're not looking to make it difficult. Where it has, I think, a bad reputation is a lot of people, I don't even think it's expats or immigrants. I think it's just like random, you know, people that just kind of go and tear down everything with no regard for, oh, that wall has been there since, you know, 1620, and we'd really like to try and keep that. And, oh, this is, you know, so a lot of people just kind of randomly go start tearing stuff down. But, you know, I've already said I'm from New Jersey. You have to get a permit if you want to change a washer on your sink faucet. And so to me, when people are like, oh, you don't want to do anything with the city hall and you have to get permits, I'm like, no problem. I am all up on getting, I found them to be very, very helpful. The process, you know, sometimes it's a little bit, there is a lot of bureaucracy and you do need to have some patience, but I find that the people at the city hall, I find them to be super, super helpful.
Yeah. And lunch can always be involved, can't it? In a trip into town, see the camera. Yeah. It's another excuse for a cafe lunch. But this question connects with what you're just saying, actually, in terms of English speaking. Obrigado for this information. I'm grinding away learning Portuguese, but it is a struggle. I hope you've checked out our favoured teacher, Mia Ejmaresh P. Love Vancouver, by the way. And Maria, I'm glad you're managing to have a drink. I was thinking to myself, I'm making her talk so much, she's not managing to enjoy a white wine there. So please do. By the way, he loves Vancouver. Anyhow, can English-speaking only folks get by okay in Tomar? I think you've addressed that, haven't you? Really, there are a lot of English speakers in Tomar.
Yeah, and in fact, you know, I do crafts on Wednesday with a group of ladies who all happen to be English speaking, and some of them have some level of Portuguese. And we talk about this all the time, how, you know, really, I think I joked with you about this last week, Carl, that there's really 3 words that are so important, and I'm sure I'm butchering them, but it's pois, which is basically duh, or sure, or fine, or whatever.
Yeah.
Sim, yes, no, and tá bem, it's okay, fine. You know, and you can just intersperse that into all conversations. But at the supermarket, there's always people there that speak English all the time. You go into EDP to talk to your electric, always somebody that speaks English. At the water place, where you might not get somebody speaking English, if you're going in to buy drill bits at a small hardware store, and, you know, then you have to pull out your phone and do a little Google Translate. But, you know, Tomar is a very I find it to be a city of educated people who all have, not all, but a lot of the people that work in the downtown area, anyhow, they all have some English. Yeah. My niece is visiting here from Canada, and she speaks 3 words of English, and she drives into town, gets coffee, goes to the supermarket, you know, goes to the bank, talks to somebody at the bank, comes home, and every once in a while, there's a little bit of a mix-up, and but it's easy. There's lots of people who don't speak any Portuguese.
She's a French speaker as well, presumably.
No, that's
Okay.
yeah, that's a lot of Canada does have French and English as their official language, but in Vancouver, there's really not that many French speakers in Vancouver. A lot of people who have some understanding of French, but more on the East Coast.
That can help, kind of a bit of French in central and northern Portugal. A lot of the old folks over 60 or so learned French at school, probably because it was a good idea to do so. What is the third biggest city in Portugal is Paris, I heard.
Yes.
So yeah, French.
The biggest is Newark, New Jersey.
Do excuse me, brilliant. Let's have a look. Back to Charles. Not so much the cost. I really like the old town part of Tomar around the Plaza de República. Love the old buildings and being within walking distance of cafes. Start in the town, Charles. Definitely. I think there's a lot to go at, and on the edge of town as well. I would definitely start there. Louise, I'm noticing the climate is so varied, even microclimates. I think that's a comment across Portugal. What's the weather like there in Tomar then, Maria? What's the coldest it gets?
Well, last year I think it got about 5 Celsius. I don't think it got below that. I don't think there was any frost, but there was definitely some days when it was chilly. And our house, we have a big house. It was built in 1967. It's made of cement and stone and whatever else. So in the summer, when it's super hot, we turn on the air conditioning. I think we turned on the air conditioning this year was so hot, maybe 2 times, because the house is so made for the hot weather. Mm-hmm. But when the cold weather comes, it does get chilly in the house. We have heaters in every room. We have like wall, up on the wall heaters, and we also have other heaters that can be dragged around with the electric cord that we don't use. It's just the 2 of us, so we basically heat whatever room we're in. And there's the fireplace, so it did take a little getting used to, because you're used to, in North America, I find a very dry heat, and here there is a lot of humidity. So if you like our air conditioner heating units also have a dehumidifier function on them. I don't know that it works all that great, but it does seem to help, because it's what feels cold is the moisture. It's, you can put on a sweater and feel okay, but if it's damp, that's when you're like chilly and shivering and stuff. But I mean, unless you're buying a ruin, everything's got heat. Every house has got heat in it. Heating is expensive, but it's all relative, Yes. Being in the hospital because you're sick from flu is expensive too. So just pay the heating bill. That's how I think.
Good advice. So around 5 would appear to be the coldest.
Yes.
And, I mean, Louise is right about microclimates. There will be places around Tomar are more mountainous that get to 0. But then in the summer, you are talking about 40 plus potentially as well, aren't you? Tomar summers are amazing.
Yeah, Tomar summers are hot, but it's funny because no matter how cold it seems to get at night, at 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm putting laundry out. Okay, there's a couple of stretches, especially during April. April seems to be really the crappy month.
Yeah.
Parts of January and April, but everything burns off. It looks like, oh, what a miserable day it's going to be. It's so foggy, and it looks like so overcast. And then an hour later, it's blazing sun.
Yeah, that's so true. I noticed that the other day. It can change so dramatically, can't it? Yeah. So quickly in Portugal. This, I think Ken's referring to when you need to buy those drill bits. And I would thoroughly recommend getting out of your depth occasionally in a shop in Portugal. Failure isn't a failure. It's just a lesson. Absolutely right, Ken. You will find this, and I think it's a great condition to be in at least once a week here in Portugal. Love you, Maria. Burnt marmalade. How funny. Cheryl, you're on the list for a jar of that. In Porto, it's called Papa Reformas. I'm not sure what that's referring to, Safira.
The little car.
The little Papa Reformas. Okay, so like a dad car, maybe. Thanks for the info about driving. Pleasure, Ken. We are, I said to Maria earlier on, we probably only talked for about half an hour, 45. Here we are. We're an hour in. I won't keep you too much longer, Maria and everybody else, but some lovely questions here regarding those tiny cars that don't require a driver's license. Okay, so that's the Papa Reformas. Azores is amazing, says Fiona. So beautiful. We did a random Ryanair trip from Lisbon for 4 days. I really want to go there. There's tea plantations in the Azores, aren't there?
Yes, that's the only tea plantation in all of Portugal is in São Miguel.
Yeah. Yeah, and there were many, weren't there? And I think it's down to 2 now. But that sounds like a reason alone to visit, to go and see Portuguese tea being grown. I'm going to be asking a lot of questions. I just need to think about.
That's okay.
Stay in touch, Ken. Do join us whenever you feel the need. You guys are so honest. It's refreshing and also reassuring. Thank you. Well, to give you another level of honesty here, Maria and I were laughing earlier on before the show, and we say, you mustn't tell everybody this. Have you had some visitors tonight, Maria, with the mosquitoes?
Oh, goodness. It's November and the mosquitoes. Oh, that's the best, actually, the best purchase we've made in Portugal is, I don't think I have one around. It's maybe this is a common thing and I just thought it was so extraordinary. It looks like a tennis racket, but it's electrified.
Yes, I've got one of those.
And it's the mosquito zapper. So you literally lob at them and you zing them midair and they go and they fly up. Because for some reason, we just used our fireplace for the first time the other night. And when we opened the fireplace door, these mosquitoes came out and then they just hide. So then there's, we painted everything, all the walls white, just so we could see all the mosquitoes and kill them. But they still, like I've got sugary blood, I guess. So yeah, that is one of the screens are not a big thing here. And we've been waiting a couple of months for our screens because I am not, screens are very important. I've always had mosquito just for bugs coming in the house. But yeah, there are some mosquitoes.
Oh, there you go.
Like Amazon big mosquitoes, little ones, but they take a little nip of you.
Annoying nonetheless. So there's another level of honesty, because I said we can't tell people about mosquitoes in November, but there you go. The cat is out the bag, the mosquito is in the air, but it sounds like it's going to get a zap, a forehand smash from a little bit later on. Carmen Souza is listening from East Texas, loving this chat. Yeah, this is one of our expat chats. It's fantastic to be talking to Maria tonight. If you want to talk to her on a one-to-one, if you want to engage her as a consultant, basically, about Portugal and Tomar and what she knows, do that via the expatsportugal.com. Ask our expat service. And let's just go to a few more questions and comments, because we should let Maria go. She's worked very hard for us tonight.
One of the things that I wanted to say, Carl, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, is one of the things that I absolutely love, and it has become, it's become a bit ridiculous here in Tomar, is I love real estate. I love looking at real estate. I look at every single listing. I look at Idealista, day and night. I'm always looking at different. So I have a pretty good sense of what is happening in the market. And, we weren't going to come, we were going to be retired here. And since we've been here, we've bought 3 properties already. And I'm looking at another one, that the question about the ruins, one of the reasons that we were talking to the municipality was to judge whether a ruin that is right next to us would be viable. So yeah, anybody that wants to talk about real estate, yeah. Okay. Really not selling it. I'm not selling it, but just, talking about it and strategy and everything. I love all of that.
Perfect. There you go. Forgot the name, but an Italian place in Tomar that was great. Do you know that one?
O Siciliano? Maybe it's O Siciliano.
Yeah, possibly Gail. Thank you, Gail, for that. I love Tomar, says Gemini. Hi, Gemini. Good evening. Barbecue chicken and a litre of wine. Yeah, the churrasqueira, the barbecue chicken in Portugal is. Are you a meat eater, Maria?
I mean, yes.
Do you like the barbecue chicken of Portugal?
I love it.
Me too.
Love it.
And you've got some good churrasqueira barbecues in Tomar. Yeah. Absolutely. Yes. There's one on the road down near the station, which is a little bit of a what we call in UK a greasy spoon, but it's fantastic.
Oh, that's the one. That's mine. That's
mine. The one you go to? But there's another one down from Lidl. Sorry to be so parochial here, everybody, but there's a new kind of modern one.
Yes.
On the other side of town.
Isn't it the queen of chickens, the reina de...
Yes, and their packaging and their presentations are all very modern and stylish. And but it's it's where Nando's stole the idea. Everybody, the piri piri chicken. So he's eating barbecue chicken, litre of wine, mini skirts. Portugal is sounding better and better. You don't have to wear a mini skirt, Ken, if you come here. Rest assured. Probably one of the best, cheapest places to eat and drink in Europe, we think, says Fiona Baker. I think that's a general comment about Portugal. I like some of the menus in some restaurants. They're quite plain food but wholesome. That's a fair comment. And yes, fish. Portuguese seem to love fish. Absolutely do. And I saw an article today about the art of grilling, barbecuing fish. It is a big thing. Most Portuguese houses, families have a grill, don't they, outside?
Yeah.
Which is an integral part of family life in the garden for grilling fish and meat. Yes, Google Translate will be my best friend for a while. Be careful with that. It will have you speaking Brazilian Portuguese. But there you go. Get yourself into more hot water and learning situations, we'll call them. Thank you for the information, says Marty P. If a person really dislikes windy weather, what places in Portugal should be avoided? I've heard conflicting info on wind conditions in various places around Portugal. What say you on that, Maria?
Well, that's interesting. Where we live in Casais, just north of Tomar, we're on a little bit of a ridge, and it's so windy. It's so windy, but it's so great because, you know, the sheets dry in 20 minutes. But that is something to know that I didn't realize. I wasn't expecting this kind of wind. So I can only talk about where we are, that in the summer it can be quite windy, which we're happy of because it brings a little bit of a breeze. I guess I would avoid anywhere too close to the beach because that's gonna really whip you around.
Yeah.
And it depends too, because, you know, Portugal is very hilly. There's so many valleys, and if you're on the top part, I mean, even today, Carl, we were driving to Vila Nova de Poeiras, or however it's pronounced, near Coimbra, and I thought, are we going to Hobbit land? We were, you know, on these tiny little roads going up and down these mountains, and all you see is these little jewel villages at the bottom.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, is it better to be at the bottom or at the top, or, you know? So I don't know. For wind, that's a very good question. I'm going to have to find out where is the least windy place, but I'm going to suspect it's not in Nazaré.
Absolutely right. Silver Coast windy, North Coast windy. Safari is saying here to avoid windy locations, better avoid the coastal north of Portugal. Absolutely, can get very windy up there. But Costa Verde is absolutely beautiful on a hot, still summer's day. And I think what you say there, Maria, is right. You know, if you in a mountainous and coastal country, which so much of Portugal is, you're going to get wind. There's no doubt about it. Aveiro is known as the Chicago of Portugal for that reason. It's windy in Aveiro, and you have to be careful. Where I live in Anadia, I've just realised the wind is it's not an issue, and I had never realised that before. But you know, we're in it's flat here where we live. We're not near the beach. We're not mountainous. It's a modern town. It's possible, Marty P, for sure. But a lot of the signature places of Portugal do get a bit of wind. It has to be said. Sun, wind, and rain. All of life is there. Eric J, we have hopes of moving to Portugal in 2022. I'm struggling with the idea of bringing lots of stuff. This is always a great question, Maria. Are you a minimalist, or did you bring 5 containers with you?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm a maximalist.
A maximalist.
Absolutely. We brought a first container that was part of, I had the certificate of bagagem because I was coming here as a citizen, and so I had the right to bring over. But the you know, that saves you some money because you're not paying duty and customs on the goods, but you're still paying duty and customs on the transport, which is the majority of the cost. But I'm a glutton for punishment. Also, we're starting a new business. We bought this building, and it has an apartment and 3 stores. And the apartment is going to be an logement local, which was our business in the States. And so, you know, we had just sold 3 properties. I'm not going to be giving away, you know, 3 king size beds and 4 queen size beds and mattresses and everything else. So for me, it was worth the cost of the shipment, even though I was paying for everything. It was absolutely worth it, because the second container, which we didn't have any discounts, any tax breaks on, the second container all in was probably 7,000 euros. And that's a 20-foot container, which we packed to the gills. And some of the things that we brought which I'm so glad for, are, and this is ridiculous, I'm sure that I'll get, laughed at for this. We bought a case of Bounty paper towels, because there's such good paper towels. They don't have Bounty here. I brought my bicycle. I brought my sewing machine. I brought 2 vacuums because, as crazy as it seems, they don't have beater bars on the vacuums here. I don't know. I think that's what they're called. Those round.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, because here there's not a lot of carpet here. It's like a lot of wood. So they just have the flat ones that have a brush, but they don't have anything that does this action. And we have some nice carpets that have a bit of a pile on them. And so we just bought transformers. The good transformers are, 80 euros, but a crappy vacuum here is 100 euros. I'd rather spend 80 euros for a transformer and use my good Shark vacuum and my Dyson vacuum. So those are kind of ridiculous things that we brought. I also brought pots and pans, even though we bought a house with all of the furnishings that had 50 pots and pans, but I liked my old beat up Le Creuset. So some of the things are very expensive here. Other things are just a comfort to me. It was just a comfort to be able to use this old pot. It was a comfort to use my old vacuum, to use my own sewing machine. TVs, forget it, not worth bringing TVs. But even electrical, I brought Alexa, I brought my Google Echo Dots or whatever they're called. One of the things that has been very good, because the properties, is I brought with me some of those locks, those that you put keys in, like you see at a lot of Airbnbs where you put the key in and then it has a combination.
Oh yes, yeah.
So you can just give somebody the combination. They can take the key and they can. So we use it for the gardener who comes. So we ended up. We had 5 of them. So those things are heavy and big. I'm not going to take them in my suitcase, but we basically packed everything we could. Towels, good quality linens and towels are available in Portugal, and they are exceptional, but they are not cheap. You can buy inferior quality at any market or any Chinese store, and they're super cheap, but they're not the kind of thing that are, wow, does this ever feel wonderful? But you can get Ralph, if you've got a set of Ralph Lauren towels at home, bring them. You're not going to get Ralph Lauren towels here, or if you are going to buy towels, it's going to be 200 euros for a half decent set. So it depends. If you're a minimalist, you want to start over, you want to zen, you want to get rid of all of your baggage, emotional, physical, come here with a suitcase, you'll be fine. There's absolutely everything you can have here. But it did give me some comfort to have some of my familiar things here, even if it was books.
No, well said. So the point there is, it is doable to
Yes.
go whole hog minimalist. But if you're a maximalist like Maria is, self-confessed maximalist, that can be done as well. There's Maria's link into the Ask Our Expats. It should say also Ask Our Expert Expats, but that's a bit of a mouthful.
Self-confessed expert.
Yes. Well, I'll second that, and I'm sure everybody else will here tonight with wonderful information. If I could just ask you, if we could conclude by, come on, guys, stop asking questions now. You'll have to talk to Maria via the Ask Our Expat service, because we need to go to bed. Let's just have a look. So I hope that helps, Eric, with the stuff conversation. Jim, let's rush through these. Are there many single family homes in Tomar, or is it mostly flats?
I found it, absolutely. I would say that there's very few homes wherein, for example, in New Jersey, I would say that it was almost 50-50 in the areas that we lived, single family. And then actually single family homes, I'd say, were probably 30% single family homes. And here I would say single family homes are 80%. So many, many homes here are single family homes. And there are some duplexes, there are some obviously apartment blocks and stuff, but no, there's lots of very small, modest homes, and there's lots of crazy big homes. And the funny thing is, the crazy big homes are probably the same price as a very small home. And that's why I'm sitting in a 7-bedroom house because it was cheap, because, Portuguese people do not want big houses. It's expensive to heat. it's expensive to maintain, and they don't want all the space. They don't want to, who wants to be mopping 3 floors worth of, 3 levels worth of floors. So I found that for us, it was great. We got this like big, massive house that was way more than what we need. But, I can have a sewing room. My husband can have a singing room. We can turn one room into a closet. My dog can have his own bedroom, so it's fun.
And there's a hill tribe have set up in another corner of the house, and Maria hasn't even
We don't know.
They don't even know. It's so big. But that's a really good observation. I live in Bergen County near Paramus.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. I know.
Many Portuguese land once they arrive in the US. I was born in the Silver Coast Bombarel many moons ago. Oh, hi, Maria. Lovely to hear that from you.
Paramus, that's where all the big malls are. Yeah.
Yeah. Zap some bugs and work on your serve. That's another bonus. Thanks, Maria. Your knowledge and outgoing personality will be helpful to anyone who seeks your help. Can't wait for a show from an expat in Porto. So if you are in Porto and an expat and you want to have an expat chat with me, we would love to do that one. And Eric certainly would. Fantastic. Frango is the best in Tomar. We're really drilling down to some detail here, aren't we? But it's good to know. Maria, your English is so clear and helpful. When will you show us tomatoes and oranges? Can't wait to visit.
The tomatoes are outrageous. This year, the tomatoes were outrageous. Yeah.
Sally, thank you for that comment. Ken, after a litre of wine and some barbecue, I bet wind conditions are high. Cheeky, Ken, cheeky. We have found a magical valley in the Serra de Candeiros e Air. That's Wayne B. Is it windy there? That's what we need to know, Wayne B. And tell us where that is. Maximalist, love it, haha. I have a few tech items, but no furniture. And Wayne B, finally, we are building a house here, but introducing non-Portuguese modern timber frame style for the insulation properties using a great architect who speaks perfect English and is superb. Can't wait. That sounds like a great plan. Louis, the dog has his own bedroom at Maria's house. Is that right?
He's spoiled. What can I say?
Yeah. He has 2 bedrooms, in fact. He's got his dressing room and where he sleeps. Did you bring the dog with you, or is it Portuguese? Yeah, okay. Yeah. The reason my door got pushed open is Peggy, our Portuguese stray, pushed her way into the studio and is snuggling up on the rug behind me. That's what happened earlier on. Come on, you guys, please stop asking questions and making comments. We've got to go now. The house my mum is looking for is an 8-bed house, but it has two-bed apartments. I feel it's very big, but B&B might be good for the apartments. Yes, she'll have you running that, Ken. You sound like the perfect host. Wayne B, looking in that area now, thank you. So people are taking their instructions and suggestions across the community, which is what this is all about. Maria, I'll just put your link again in the comments, because that's how to get in touch with Maria. Actually, I think it's already on my clipboard. There we go. Let's pop that in there just finally, and share that with you. And basically, thank you so much, Maria, for being with us and being so
fun. I love talking.
I'm glad. I'm so glad you've enjoyed it. We've had a glass of wine. We've had a chat. We've made some new friends. And thank you so much. Really appreciate it. All right. Take care. Bye for now. We'll see you in the morning on the Good Morning Portugal show. And I'm very keen to hear when your husband will be singing, so that
I'll let you know.
That'd be wonderful. Maria, thanks again. Take care. Bye for now.
Okay. Bye, guys.